How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to Aokana, where we're here looking at some actual flying circus, not service. Flying, might be some flying fan service, but it's flying circus. And we're here to kind of go through an initial training, and the music's all bumping, and we're going to learn about the sport in general, which is very fun. It's going to be cool because, again, I feel like we've been doing a lot of like really dramatic series lately, and so it's really nice to have something that's going to be a bit more laid back. Well, it won't be. I'm sure it'll be very intense, but it'll be more of like intensive and like go, you know, cheering on your team, right? So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Like in general, it's funny because like I get comments occasionally. Like I have like indie game studios or sometimes will contact me saying, "Hey, we think you'd be great for playing this game," and 90% of the time they're very dramatic, like psychological horror, like game developers, and I get it. I played a lot of those games. But like I even had one of them one time reach out to me, and they're like, "Oh, you'd probably like." Actually, it was Kagami Games, I think, who gave me Putrika, and they were saying like, "Oh yeah, we have Putrika, which and we have like this other like rom-com kind of dating sim game, but you probably like Putrika more. It's more in your style of the stuff you've done before." And I'm like, I'm fine with the dating romance games. They're great. They're super fun. I feel like I've made it a name for myself a little too harshly in the dramatic and depressing. I want to make sure we understand a way of balance. So let's move forward and keep enjoying this game. So nothing else to really say other than the fact that like we've officially started like enjoying the club, and we're getting training and getting started to start, I don't know, preparing for whatever the inter-school system fighting that we can do if we're flying circus. So yeah, let's enjoy ourselves and kind of see how this all plays out so far for the first day. Alright, let's get started. Misaki and Perez fly over to the fence. There's a steep cliff and a couple of meters beyond it, and then the ocean. FC takes place in the sky, which means you can do it anywhere. Shito City is surrounded by ocean, so that became the natural playing ground in our area. That makes sense. I wonder what they do for playing over like solid ground. Like, are there safety features, or do they just rely on the safety circuits of the Flying Circus shoes? Because playing over the water, like, it seems like it could be a safety feature, but A, if you're high enough, water is not safer than ground, and B, frankly, it might just be a practicality thing, because there's a lot of empty space in over the ocean. Plus, it's also technically safer where there's water beneath you instead of solid ground, though modern grav shoes have tons of fail-safes to make getting injured from the fall impossible. Well, thank you, game. I ask questions, you give me answers.
Hi, 質問です。ファーストって何ですか?
I can't remember that. Oh, the first buoy. See there are 4 in the sky? Starting clockwise from the first, it's second, third, then fourth. Simple, right? So I'm guessing first is like, we see it as a square here, but I'm guessing that corner, that number 1 buoy, is like literally closest to like the start position. So like instead of being it's a square in a sense, but it's shaped more like a diamond to the players. That's my guess though.
はい、わかりやすいです。
The lines that connect the first and second is called the first line, followed by the second, third, and fourth line. The square that these 4 lines form is called the field. So it's funny because it's like a baseball diamond but reverse.
空中の正方形で試合をするわけですね。
Exactly. I'm sure you already understand, but FC is a sport where you have to follow those lines and fly around the square.
ということは、ファーストからセカンドを目指して、サード、フォースと来て。
Okay. So part of me was wondering before if you could deviate your pattern and go to different buoys, like, because then what if you like to try and throw off your opponent? What if you go 1, 3, 4, 2, and then go 1, 4, 2, 3? But it looks like they're supposed to you're like kind of like running bases in baseball. It's like you have to do it in a certain order. At that point, you head back to first. You keep flying around and around until time runs out. Depending on how much of match is going, you can also choose to stop or move back and forth along a line, but you can't ever move back a line. Okay, so when you're at 1, you hit buoy 1, or someone tags buoy 1. Does tagging buoys count for both players, or do both players have to touch the buoys in order? Because then, if it were like each player has to hit the buoy, that'd make it odd, because then there's no advantage to going faster, other than the fact that you could outpace your opponent and just never get caught. So I think both the cases that wouldn't make sense. So I think it's like first come, first serve to the buoys, but you can't advance to the next buoy in the series or less line in the series until that buoy is hit. But does that mean, could you overshoot a buoy and be okay, or is that like a foul or something?
ファーストラインからフォースラインに移動しちゃダメです。
Bingo. I look up and confirm Misaki and Perez have positioned themselves at first and speak through the headset. So, start on my signal. And remember, show us how a speeder wins a match first.
任せとけ!
オッケー。
It's time. Ready, set, go!
おっしゃ!
Perez leans his body forward and flies off towards second, riding along the first line. So does he get a point at the first buoy, or is that just the starting position and you don't actually tag it for the first one? You aren't allowed to touch your opponent until someone reaches the second, making it a pure contest of speed. The one who touches the first scores 1 point.
どうしてタッチ禁止なんですか?
Fighters have explosive starts and worse acceleration. On the other hand, speeders start off slow but accelerate quickly. Since both start flying at the exact same time, a fighter can easily stop a speeder early and make the match one-sided. Ah, I see. Because they're all about like quick acceleration, not long haul like speed. So I like even giving like a chart here. So speeders like have a high top speed but slower acceleration, or like a slower starting speed. And like it looks like they all have about the same. They have the same acceleration. Interesting. I wonder if that's intentional. That they can accelerate essentially at the same pace, but it's like whether or not they burst start or slow build up to high speed. Okay. Huh. Interesting. That poses a lot of questions on which one I would prefer. Fighters explosive starts, worse acceleration. On the other hand, speeders start slow but accelerate quickly. I mean, the acceleration bars are at the same level, but maybe what it is that, like, so you have faster initial speed for fighter shoes, faster, like, top speed for speeder shoes, and then when they race them in a flat-out, like, dead sprint, like a drag race, over a, like, set distance like 100 meters, they all will balance out, and their acceleration rates will like even out by the end of it. Maybe. There's a lot of oddity about that though, because that would imply that all the major decision making for being effective in your strategy basically comes down to your first 5 seconds and your last 20 seconds of any given like opening. Like if you break up like the first like minute, then like the first 10 seconds and the last 20 seconds are the 2 points that are going to basically determine the rest of the match as far as I can tell. Because it's either the fighters' burst speed after the second buoy is going to give them the edge against the speedster and just never let them recover, or the speedster is able to stay ahead fast enough that the fighter can't keep up anymore.
一方的な展開。つまりお互いが静止した状態だとファイターの方がポイントを取りやすい。
Yeah. Correct, but the opposite is also true. Speeders have advantage as long as they keep moving.
あれれ、美咲ちゃんが脇道にそれちゃってますけど。
Oh yeah, look at that. She is deviating. Misaki casually floats off towards the center of the second line, leaving the ring behind.
あれは危険ですか?
No, it seems she's given up on the buoy. That makes me think that both players don't have to hit the buoy because she's forfeiting the point at second in order to anticipate the movements of the speedster.
私が応援してるんですから、美咲先輩は危険なんかしませんよ。
Michelle, I hate to disappoint you, but they were instructed to let the speedster Shiro win. Like, she might not make it easy for him, but I think she isn't going to be playing her hardest because we're supposed to let him win. You know, I could totally see that happening, but that's not the case here. She's just taking a shortcut.
ショートカットですか?
You're allowed to give up on a buoy to jump forward, yeah, otherwise the player who's faster would always win.
あ、そっか。ぐるぐる回るわけですから、速い人に追いつけなかったら、それで終わりですね。
But it's interesting because what gives them the right to...
いろいろと難しいです。
Because he said you can't do them out of order, but you can anticipate the next line. So is that maybe it? Like you can fly within the boundary of the striking buoys, wherever that is, or you can move to the second, like the following line. But like, would it make sense for her to shortcut all the way to like the third line, or would that be disallowed? because he said you couldn't go, you couldn't like go outside of like the boundaries lines, and yet we're seeing an example of that. It really isn't. No touching on the first line at the start of the next match. You can give up on getting a buoy and jump on the next line. That's it. The rest is simple.
わかりました。明日までに頭に叩き込んでおきます。
Asuka and I are both going to be like just trying to figure out how to remember all the rules here. Today, it's easy. Now watch, these things are just getting started.
とれ
部位を触ったから部長に1点ですね。兄ちゃん頑張れ。
Perez proceeds to climb upward in a diagonal angle.
見間違いかもしれませんけど、部長が部位に触れた時、不自然に速くなりませんでしたか？
Do you get a speed boost? Good catch. I explained the buoys use anti-gravity to float, didn't I? Well, anti-grav fields repel each other, not just gravity, using that repulsion to accelerate its basic flying circus technique.
行くぞ。
どうぞ。
Now she's gonna try and catch him. Perez descends diagonally from his elevated position, like I expected. He moves oddly when he turns due to his shoe's specs, making his speed drop somewhat. Misaki, who positioned herself at the center of the second line, slowly moves to intercept Perez's flight path.
じゃあ
However, before she manages to reach him, Perez blows by at a terrifying speed.
ポイントを見誤ってしまった。スピードに乗っている相手を止めるのはなんて難しいんだ。次の部位へのタッチを放棄して隣のラインへ移動しなくて
She's
は。
actually doing a she's being very sportsmanlike and actually taking the time to explain it. Thanks for the explanation. Perez shakes off Misaki again on the third line and touches the buoy. That brings the score to 3-0.
うわー、スピードに翻弄されて何もできないよ。分かってきました。スピーダーは待ち構える相手をスピードで振り切ってポイントをゲットしていくわけですね。
Right now, he's just banking through on speed alone. However, in a real match, he'll use small feints to throw his opponent, or at least I hope he will. He's pretty fast, but I can only get him so far. He can't just try to bulldoze over and over.
兄ちゃん、まっすぐな性格だからフェイントとか下手そう。
But okay, you have little faith, but you do know him best. Right, I can totally see him going. A real man faces his opponent head on. Essentially, speedsters use speed to get the upper hand in a match.
わかりました。
I mean, that's pretty much a given. Perez, slow down. It's time for you guys to show how fighters win matches. Keep going. No need to restart.
わかったぜ。
了解。バチバチやっちゃうよ。
She's like, all right, now it's time to go. Misaki arrives at the center of the fourth line. After that, she starts flying in small circles as she waits for Perez. Not like I doubted her, but seeing her circling makes it clear that she has actual flying circus experience.
美咲ちゃんは何をしてるんですか？
She's basically preparing for a feint, but also not making her like, she's not giving the president room to decide what his best course is by keeping her options open. Then again, it also means that she might be moving predictably. So kind of like I was saying before when I do my flight sims, it's like you don't just bank and curve as you're pursuing your target. You need to be unpredictable. You need to change your directions routinely. You need to throw them off. Now, feinting is like trying to like anticipate somebody anticipating your moves and like throwing them, but this would be more of preemptively preventing them from being able to predict your moves or making them overthink what you're doing and making them make mistakes that way. Fighters have good initial velocity and poor acceleration, which is why she has to keep herself moving. Momentum's a big deal, basically. True, momentum is basically free speed. Well, it's not free, but if you lose your momentum, you're sacrificing your own like ability to respond and react. But by maintaining your momentum, you do also lose your adaptability, your ability to respond quickly. Like she'll have that burst velocity that she can have from her boots, but the momentum is still going to be carried through. So you could try and do like a sharp like turn, but the faster you've been moving before you make that turn, the more you're going to bank regardless of how well you adjust your speed. Now, unlike cars, they don't have to worry about grip or, surface tension, but it's still going to be an issue. I wonder if these shoes can go fast enough where you actually would feel like G-forces, like significant ones. Could somebody black out from going too fast and banking too hard?
そうですか？
I'll give you an example. It's easier to ride a bike uphill if you're already moving, right?
それは動いてる自転車ですね。あ、美咲ちゃんが動いているのはそういうことですか？
That's a great example, actually, of using a bike because it's such a good, it's such a pure, like relatable way to express how momentum often provides easier mobility. Yep, if a fighter's up against another fighter, there are advantages to staying still, but oh, Perez is making his move.
前から急降下で V を狙うつもりでしょうか？
Sure seems like it. When you approach a buoy directly, it's fairly easy for your opponent to read the exact spot you're going to pass through and stop you. He must be trying to keep it simple to help my lesson. Yeah, that has to be it. He's not just an idiot, right?
とりゃ
Misaki obstructs Prez's path.
先回りして頭を押さえますよ。
I can see her doing like a barrel roll and smacking him on the back. She extends both her hands toward Perez, seemingly trying to block him in the most literal sense of the word, and bang! The sound of electric discharge fills the air. Oh, that they literally couldn't like they are prevented from actually crashing into each other?
おっとだ。
Both of them are thrown back a good 5 meters.
美咲先輩、大丈夫ですか？
Misaki immediately recovers and waves at Mashiro.
大丈夫大丈夫。こんなので驚いてたら FC はできないよ。
Yeah, you can't. He's like, you gotta kind of barrel, like, that is kind of fearlessness, like, because you feel like there's no protection around you, so you have to be willing to throw yourself into what feels like a collision.
コーチ、今のは。
Like I explained earlier, the anti-grav fields repel each other, so when two players clash, well, you can see the result for yourself.
美咲ちゃんは自分からぶつかりに行きましたよね。
Probably
今のは
not.
得点になるんですか？
That actually brings up a good point, though. If striking someone on the back is what scores you a point, but the repelling forces of those fields are that powerful, how do you actually do that? Or is the repelling force like less intense on the backside because you're not heading in that direction? Maybe the field is strongest like right in where your momentum is moving, and so you can approach someone from the back safely, but from the front you'd be repelled. No, she just did that to stop Perez. Speeders have poor inertial velocity, remember? That means they take longer to recover from getting knocked off balance. Fighters, on the other hand, have good initial velocity, so they recover quickly. And because of that, fighters tend to gain the upper hand after a clash. That said, she didn't touch his back there, which means she has yet to score a point. Alright, so based on this alone, and based on my own experience playing in lacrosse, because I was a long pull defender, and that basically was my job, I was really good at and got pretty decent at using myself as a physical blocker. Not just like as a mass, but also just knowing how to position myself in order to be basically a living obstacle. And the idea of using that to kind of like knock people around and then use your own speed to kind of get the edge, again, reminds me of lacrosse with the long pole, where you use yourself to physically block or disrupt somebody's play when they're juggling the ball. You have your extended stick to knock it free and to scoop it up. So it's all about like intercepting and stopping the fast runners with your own like kind of, I don't want to just say mass, but it's your mass and your stick, and you use that as a way to get the ball free and to clear it towards your speedsters. So yeah, this is reminding me very heavily of lacrosse and strategy.
もう一回。
Misaki goes in for another clash. Things get interesting after the fighter kills their opponent's speed through clashes.
まずは1点と。
Oh no. Let me see. There it is. Pretty intense picture there. But I'm guessing that's what it's gonna be. Now it's gonna be like a bee fighting like a fleeing person, or a wasp more likely, where she's just gonna constantly go bzz, 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 try and smack him and get like 1, 2, 3, 4. Is there a limit to how many strikes you can get on a person on each line? Misaki nimbly maneuvers behind Perez and touches his back. Oh, that's cool. That's another good picture right there. Interesting that you show this vibration field too. Is that just like a visual cue that to showcase that like you scored a point? The moment Misaki's hand touches his back, a triangle-shaped yellow light appears. And with that, she scored her first point. The light you just saw is called a point field. It appears when a player scores a point in a dogfight.
佐藤井さんとの対戦でも見ました。さっきのコントレイルと同じで 見ている人に分かりやすくするためのものなんですね。
That makes sense. I mean, fencing has a very similar system where, like, when you get a touch, it like lights up an indicator, not only to signify that a touch has occurred, but also to make it so that people who are watching can know the difference between like a deft deflection and an actual strike. Yep, it's another feature of the FC Grav Shoes. Another clang resounds as they both get thrown in opposite directions. This is where the match really begins for fighters.
ここからがですか?
Think about it. When the clash happens, each person gets thrown in opposite directions. You can use that to slow down your opponent and to force them to play your game, but you can also speed them up by mistake. I push my right hand's palm with my left hand to illustrate my point. So he's like, kind of pushing forward like. That's true. If you have that repelling feel that is still part of it, even when she's tagging, it was like I was saying, like she tags him, but there's still the repelling force, but that could push them forward. So a speedster trying to fight a fighter would, like if they understand, like, hey, this fighter's likely going to get a score on me, the best thing they could potentially do is maneuver themselves in line with the next buoy so that when they do get struck, they get pushed and give themselves that extra acceleration they need to potentially get out of that fight. If you push them in the wrong direction, you just end up helping them.
なるほど。
What that means is when you're in Prez's position, you're trying to force your opponent to push you toward the next buoy, even if that means letting them score. A speedster can use that repulsion to make up for their slow inertial velocity.
なるほど。知能犯ですね。
Perfect crime, huh? I get what you mean, but why is it a crime? Misaki, on the other hand, wants to push him away from the next buoy, so if she can keep holding him back, she'll have the time to score multiple points in a row.
そこに駆け引きがあるんですね。
Yeah, I think I would be a fighter. Like, it reminds me a lot of what I enjoyed doing when I was playing lacrosse, and it's all about, like, forward thinking. It feels like a speedster is basically, like, path to the next buoy. Like, they see basically one or two lines ahead of themselves. But the fighter is more about being strategic and understanding where the speedster is trying to go and maneuvering yourself so that you can best intercept and deflect them from that plan. That's right. And since we're trying to show you how fighters win their matches,
2点目。
Misaki gets behind Prez again and touches him in a way that sends him flying toward the water surface.
美咲先輩、かっこいい。
Ooh, so what happens if they crash? Like, it sounds like this is a situation where it wouldn't be violent in the sense that it would, like, lead to injury, but if they crash, what happens with the game? You can see that Prez is slow to a crawl, yeah? Once you're in that situation as a speedster, things get tough.
部長はどうすればいいんですか?
There are a few options, so you could try to get far enough away from Misaki to start accelerating again, or position himself to be pushed toward the next buoy, or go for a surprise attack and touch her back.
部長が美咲ちゃんの背中を? でもさっきはスピーダーの人は相手の背中を狙わないって。
Now this reminds me of football, American football. I grew up watching it with my dad. He's super into it, and there is something about this I thought was really interesting. I remember watching one time they were doing they're showing like some professional American footballers training, and one of the things they were doing is they were doing catches. So they had a machine that was like firing like the footballs out of a simulated throwing machine, and every member of the team was practicing catching these balls and running with them. And I remembered asking why they even bother, because most of the people on the team are like defensive linemen. But then he pointed out and reminded me that one of the most impressive things that can happen in a game that can completely change and upend the status quo of the flow of the game is an interception, where somebody catches the ball on the opposite team of the ones who control it. So if you are trading your team, even if they're defensive linemen who are always there to just try and be physical blockers to prevent the ball from making progress, you want them to be skilled enough to be able to catch the ball like they're a receiver, because if the opportunity arrives, it can be a game breaker of an activity. So in FC, they have a similar idea. You could train as a speedster, but you should always be prepared to strike it to try and get tags on someone's back. It would be a lot harder, but it means that it takes a lot more skill to do it properly. So being able to play a speedster role, lull your fighter into a sense of prediction where they feel like they're playing chess with you, but reality, you're playing against them, because as soon as they feel like they've got you in their grip, you suddenly do a maneuver and strike against them yourself, getting yourself a point. And if you did it even clever enough, you could do it in a way that also repels you again along your line so that you can score on the buoys once again. Basically making it so that as a speedster, you have a win-win scenario regardless of what happens. That could be pretty cool. Generally speaking, they don't. Speedsters are at a disadvantage in dogfights, but as the saying goes, desperate times call for desperate measures. If they're stuck in place and need points, then sometimes they'll go for their opponent's back instead of the next buoy.
奥が深いです。V を狙うか背中を狙うかで試合展開が違ってくるんですね。
I imagine that Flying Circus quickly devolved from a game of pure athleticism, which is what it initially is. You need athleticism in order to get to higher echelons of play. But once you get to that higher echelon, it becomes more like a chess game, where it's a lot, or like poker, for example, where you're gambling and trying to read each other, and mostly your plays are trying to you're trying to maneuver your opponent to make a certain action and then respond to that action in kind. And that's where the ultimate strategy, the high-end play, is actually playing out, is how well can you manipulate your opponent without being manipulated yourself. We've got a speedster and a fighter right now, which is why there's such a clear division of what's going for what. If you have an all-rounder up against another all-rounder, it's a lot more unpredictable.
複雑になりそうです。
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun. And once in a while, when you have two speedsters up against each other, the match turns into races.
それはそれで見てみたいです。
Now, what happens when they're both fighters, though? Do they even go for the buoys, or could they just be having a big brawl in the middle? On the other hand, fighter versus fighter usually ends up being an all-out brawl. You get in matches where Skywalkers never even move past the second line. It's it's not like it's that complicated, but they all actually sound kind of like fun scenarios.
はあ、同じルールでやっているスポーツなのに、いろんな展開があるんですね。
Because a race would seem like the most boring to watch, but it's also it would be interesting to see how fast they could end up going. And the brawls would be interesting at first, but I imagine it might drag on pretty well. When it becomes pretty predictable, if they're tag, 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 and it's okay, it just happens to be whoever gets the last tag wins. So I think the fight between two all-rounders would be the most interesting because it's very likely to devolve into the tactics would just be alternating and rotating constantly. So it could go from a race to a brawl to a blend, and it just be unpredictable. So I would say two all-rounders probably would be the most fun to watch. Yeah, that's what makes FC so fun, I guess. FC's fun? What's wrong with me?
どうかしましたか?
Oh, nothing. Just dealing with my demons. Well then, I guess that's enough for now. Hey, you two, let's call it.
4点目イエーイ
I don't think she's displaying anymore. I think she's just having fun, and I think he's trying. I almost don't know if he was I think he was trying the whole time. Hey, don't get carried away, bully Prez. The match is over. Misaki comes down, flying towards me.
ねえ、どうだった？少しは役立ったかな？はい、実際に試合を見て、ますます興味を持ちました。
I mean, that's something, but was this a real match? I mean, it felt like a match, but it wasn't they weren't actually trying too hard. At least Misaki wasn't.
かっこよかったです。はいはい、わかったから抱きつかないように。
Oh, you know you love it. You put up with it because you love it. Madoka, what is your deal? You know he was just playing along.
兄ちゃん、妹の顔を無言で見つめない方がいいよ。絶対に抱きついたりとかしないし。
Okay. Shion.
模擬試合としては良かったんじゃない？
Shion, if you have a sister complex, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Off the team, please. Oh, actually, no, we do need him on the team. But go, I don't know, fill out paperwork or something.
まあ、そういうことだ。これからどんどん頑張っていこうではないか。
Let's see.
はい、コーチ、早速練習をしましょう。私、飛びたいです。
No.
ダメってどうしてですか？アスカちゃんあれだよ。サディスティックなコーチの片鱗を見せてるわけだよ。
Yeah, but sadistic. Like, I don't know if he's sadistic. He's just trying to be practical.
なるほど、そういうことでしたか。そういうのって
Quit talking nonsense. FC grav shoes are pretty different from your civilian ones, so it's better to wait until you have the right equipment. Don't want you to develop any bad habits, understand?
そういうこと
That
で
does
した
make
か。
sense.
じゃあ今から買いに行きましょう。
Yeah, shopping does sound like fun, actually. Like, especially with his flying shoes, I'd be all over flying shoes. It's kind of late for that now. We'll go tomorrow.
どうしたアスカ。引きつけでも起こしましたか。違います。明日がとっても楽しみなんです。
Asuka says with sparkling eyes. Man, that's actually kind of creepy. But maybe... Yeah, just maybe. I had the same look in my eyes when I first started.
マネージャーから質問があります。
Yes, Madoka. Yeah?
正式に部になったからには部室はもらえるのかな。
This is when Aoi pops in. She's like, well, of course. I guess we should?
いや、それは無理だ。
無理なんですか。
Yeah, that's an odd...
部なのに
Like, why is he so determined? Or does he have, like, something in mind already?
物理的に無理だ。部室は全て埋まっているんだ。部室待ちの部は多いからな。
That makes sense.
一度奪われた部室はそう簡単には帰ってこない。
Did you hear that sentence that just kept going? I mean, it's another one of those things of translation issues, but man, it felt like he was saying like 5 times as much. Huh? Where'd you find the covered box with grav shoes then?
これは外の用具入れのプレハブで発見してきたんだよ。
The tool shed? Is that gonna be our club room?
ではプレハブ小屋を掃除して部室にしてはどうでしょうか。それは無理じゃないかな。他の部も使ってるし、体育の時間に使う用具も入ってるし。
Well, I mean, in a pinch, because we'd want to have somewhere that has cover because it's not always going to be lovely, like, days. We're going to want it to be somewhere kind of safe. It's got to be something.
でも部室がないと不便だね。真面目にやるなら練習用のユニフォームとか着た方がいいし。更衣室は体育館ですから、そこで着替えてこっちまで来るのって微妙に面倒ですしね。
But we fly now. Is it that big of a problem if we fly to the gym?
着替えた方がいいんですか。
Flight suits help stabilize anti-gravitons, so they're a Flying Circus staple. We can't disregard safety. Plus, they look really cute, and we gotta make sure that the poster looks fantastic.
着替えはともかくとして、部を真面目にするなら備品を置いておける場所とかミーティングできる場所があった方が良くないかな。
Sure, yeah. True. Would feel pretty awkward wearing flight suits in a normal classroom, plus a club room would give us a private space we need to talk freely. Talk freely about what?
あ、そういえばさっき飛んできた時、崖の真ん中あたりに小屋みたいのがあった気がするんだけど。
Oh, you just happen to see a small hut. And we're just gonna assume it's safe? A hut in the middle of the cliff. Never flown beyond the fence since there's nothing there besides the ocean. I know there's a steep cliff too, but I've never actually seen it myself.
ああ、あれか。あれなら部室の代わりになるかもしれないな。
I mean, it kind of makes sense to have a club room that you can only access through flying. That's actually kind of cool, but I would be worried about the structural integrity of such a place.
あれって何ですか。
昔、海沿いに島を一周できる周回道路があったんだよ。ここの崖の真ん中にもその道路が通ってたんだ。
You know what? I can actually see that like, if everybody on an island can fly, it would reduce the need for a lot of roads.
そういえばおばあちゃんからそういう話を聞いたことがあったかも。
今島の中央を通る道路ができたから、海に自動車が転落しそうな周回道路は部分で廃道になったんだ。
Again, starting to wonder why would we want to put our club room in a place that's apparently inherently dangerous? I've heard of that before. An old man in my neighborhood was talking about how the new roads were way safer and far more convenient. So what's that hut there? Why is that hut there?
バスだ。
It's literally erect. It's not a hut, it's a car. A bus?
自動車の楽器のバスにしては大きすぎたかな。
俺も詳しく知ってるわけじゃないが、バス会社が赤字経営で使わない道なら廃バスを放置してもいいだろう
You can't
という
just
ことらしい。
You can't just do that. You can't just leave buses around because you went
そのバ
bankrupt.
スを部室にすればいいわけですね。
There's so many. We don't even know if it's habitable. What if there's badgers living in it?
いいと思うな。崖の真ん中でグラシを履いてないといけない場所だから、
That
シーブっぽいと思う。
that is kind of cool. But like, it could be infested with like I don't know. I'm trying to think of something like bed bugs. Like I don't know why there'd be bed bugs in a. But I'm just thinking of something gross I wouldn't want to touch.
早速行ってみましょうよ。
Don't we need to get permission? A look of great confidence surfaces on Madoka's face.
絶対に誰も使ってないんだから大丈夫じゃないかな。軽く先生に聞いて問題がありそうだったらこっそり部室にしちゃえばいいよ。
What kind of class rep are you? You're basically saying, hey, we'll ask the teacher, but if she says no, what? She doesn't know, right? I mean, good grief. This girl's pretty sly. Yeah, Madoka's pretty interesting. She's very complex is the word. She's not as easy to boil down into personality trait. Guess we might as well go take a look.
行きましょう。
It's just a bus. Why? How did they get away with this? Is this road even stable if it's not being maintained? This could just slide into the ocean randomly. Land on the ground and deactivate my grav shoes. A heavy sensation akin to the feel of walking onto dry land after a quick swim spreads through my body. Didn't know there was something like that here. Yep, this is definitely a bus.
こっちにはバス停と待合室もある。そのまま放置されたって感じですね。
That's so dystopian.
ネットオークションとかに出したら高く売れないかな。
First of all, we don't own it, so how would we sell it? And B, why would anyone buy this? How would anyone even move it if they wanted it?
冴えてますね、美咲先輩。ヴィンテージものかもしれません。
No. I doubt it. Besides, selling stuff that isn't even ours would be a crime.
では、勝手に部室にしてしまうのは犯罪じゃないんですか？
Yes! Well...
それはグレーということで、ツタが絡まるほど放置されてたんだから、私たちがどうしたって誰かに怒られるようなことじゃないよ。
I can think of several. If someone got hurt and had to be airlifted or something, people would be pretty pissed off that we're here. Our club president pounds her own chest as he hears that. As he hears that.
そういうことだ。何かあったら部長の俺が責任を取るぜ。
Cool, bro. These siblings are something else.
中の様子を見てきます。
Asuka makes a mad dash for the bus and places both her hands on the door. The door creaks open, making a rather eerie sound. Oh
なんとか部
gosh.
室にできそうですよ。
There's gotta be something living in here.
どれどれ？それなりに汚れてはいますけど。
I mean, we could try cleaning it up, but like, there's definitely something in here. Should be fine if we give it a good scrubbing. Doesn't look like there's any leaks in the roof either. There's no stains on the floor, and nothing appears to be rotten. Sure, some floorboards have come loose, but even a toddler could fix those issues.
早速掃除しましょう。アスカは本当にやる気に満ちてるね。眩しいよ。
Also, we are not dressed or equipped to do this right now. We'd have to go get some tools and supplies. And you guys are in your gym uniforms?
ピカピカです。よし、その心のようにバスの中もピカピカにするのだ。頑張ります。
She just goes with it. Okay. Don't shove it all into her, Misaki. You've got to pitch it too.
はいはーい。反対する人がいないなら私、学校から掃除道具持ってくるけど。
Thank you, Madoka, for actually thinking about things. Okay, go do that.
俺のマッスルのうならせ場所だな。
Congratulations, you found a use for yourself. Just make sure you don't use enough strength to slam your foot right through the floor.
頑張りましょうね、コーチ。
Yeah. I nod as if somewhat overwhelmed by her overeager attitude. Hey, alright. Call me like a pessimist, but it's actually already cleaning up pretty nicely. I mean, those floorboards still look horrifically dangerous, but whatever. I wiped the sweat off my forehead with my hand. Guess that should do for today. The bus was incredibly dusty because of the years of neglect, but we cleaned it up a fair bit. Unfortunately, there's still some stains that require special cleaning products, which also meant we had to put those off for another time.
十分だと思うよ。あとは少しずつ備品とか入れていけばそれっぽくなるんじゃないかな。
I kind of like the idea of this place slowly evolving over time. That could be kind of fun. Like if it doesn't become like a static like finished picture in like the next like little bit, but like over the course of our training, like it slowly evolves.
終わった甘いもの食べたいよ。
So it's Tuesday, I guess, because that's just another day for you.
コンビニで何か買って帰りましょう。ってアスカ先輩？
You can calm down. That you're gonna break that glass.
アスカ？
You gotta give her credit. She's focused. Like that's kind of her thing. Even in that like the first Flying Circus race that she had no clue what she was doing, it was her focus that led her to succeed. She's wiping a window frame with some crazy concentration. Asuka. What the? Her son's shriek startles me and I jump back.
どうしましたか？
That's what I want to know. What are you doing?
サッシの汚れがなかなか落ちないから拭いていたんですけど、変なことしました？こっちの風習ではサッシの汚れは福の神だから取らないようにするとか。
Clearly, Asuka, you haven't been part of the community. Don't you know that you'll unleash a terrible curse on yourself for wiping and cleaning windows? The gods of the island demand filthy windows. You shouldn't be able to see out of them because they should be covered in a filmy grime that's built up over decades. And if you take that off, you basically signed your death warrant. What do you take us for, savages? Gotta say though, that was some impressive concentration. You didn't hear us talking to you from 2 feet away.
そうだったんですか？全然気づきませんでした。私、集中しすぎることが多くて、すみません。
That's a blessing and a curse. Focusing is great, but losing track of what's around you is going to make it really hard for you to perform in Flying Circus, because no matter what role you take up, you always have to be aware of what your opponent's doing, and what you're doing at the same time. Nah, there's no need to apologize. Concentration is an important part of Flying Circus, so you got a leg up there.
そうなんですか？ありがとうございます。はい。FC のことで質問があるんですけど、いいですか？
Sometimes the gear change of the music is just real abrupt. It's just like a clunk right into place. Say, can I, you ask a question? Sure. What's up? You already want to know more about me? You already know way more than me about Misaki, so I doubt I have any info for you.
FC のことでと言いました。美咲先輩のこと以外の質問だってします。
Are you sure about that?
真っ白は知らないけど、マサヤだけが知ってることだってあるじゃない？
What? What do you even mean by that?
なんですか？ぜひ知りたいです。私の素肌の柔らかさ。
Oh, you be quiet. You're just tormenting the child.
マサヤ先輩？
Don't give me that bloodthirsty look.
マサヤさん、そういうのは早いです。
Calm down, Asuka. Don't react to her dumb jokes. I've never even come in contact with something so deadly.
そんなもん言うな。冗談ですよね。本当だったらマサヤ先輩のこと指してしまうかも。
So you're the yandere who is tiny and has a dustpan. I probably should be kind of scared. I like how they actually went to translate here. Menacing. Tremble, tremble, tremble. That's cute. Stop it. You're scaring me. Oh, wait, never mind. Sneer. I thought it was saying sinner at first, but like I like this. This is cute. I don't know if I could use this as a thumbnail, but I like it. Not scary snickering either. She made all that up, you know. You got no reason to stab me. With that out of the way, what's your question? I like this one too. Just trust me.
わかりました。今日のところは信じてあげることにします。寿命が伸びてよかったですね。
Yeah, you wanna be yandere. What's up? Wow, thank you so much. But enough of that. Get to the question.
部長と美咲先輩が模擬試合をしましたけど、あれは模擬試合だからですか？それとも FC って男女で分けてないんですか？
That's a good question. Most sports are divided between male female, but usually that's A, kind of like traditional, but B, it's because like if you, like a good example is basketball. You could take the strongest women's basketball team in the world, throw it up against a team in the NBA, and there'd just be a lot of physical, just legitimate differences. I almost feel like people are gonna hate me saying this, but it's like it's also just reality, because unfortunately the dice tend to roll, and when you take the extremes of physical form, the differences between males and females really genetically are just starker. Now, an average person, male female, could be pretty much on the same level, especially with training and practice. But when you start getting into competitive fields, you're going to start giving unnatural benefits to one or the other based on the type of task that's going on. And that's another reason why it's probably best to have a simple, clear separation between the two. It's hard though. It's like, I don't have enough skin in the game to make any solid arguments on this anyway. Just an observation. FC has no gender division because it's mainly based on form, reflex, and critical thinking. There's no noticeable difference between men and women in any of those categories. Agreed. And remember, it's taking out a lot of the physicality of it. Like, while Shiro's always like, oh, you must be physically strong, and there's definitely benefit to being physically fit, it's not like you're actually putting your physical mass against another person. Being physically fit is more about being comfortable and being able to contort and move your body in ways that you need to. When it comes to actual fighting and Flying Circus, it has a lot more basis on the technology. So it's, in a way, the Flying Circus is really good about making an even playing field for everybody. You can have tall, you can have short, you can have large, you can have small. As long as they can all fly and maintain relatively similar speeds, then it should be even. In fact, I almost wonder, does the mass and weight of the individual matter in Flying Circus as much? Because, I mean, in some ways you could argue, oh, if you're lighter, you might be able to fly faster, and if you're heavier, you would be able to knock people further if you clashed with them. But I'm getting the feeling that even that wouldn't be the case. Why do you think I said he was being an idiot? I rest my case. To be fair, Prez isn't completely off base. Muscles are important too. I didn't agree with you. No, I don't think we're on the same wavelength at all. I wonder what drove him to worship muscles. I don't know. They're fun. Muscles only factor at the highest levels of professional play. In our case, physical differences between men and women have no bearing. Yep, can't say it'll be the same as the grav shoe technology advances or the general skill level of players goes up, but for now, that's of no concern. Okay, so he's saying that at the high professional tier, they might split for the same reasons I was talking about. Yeah, there are some who believe that. Women generally weigh less than men, right? Well, the quantity of anti-gravitons emitted by grav shoes always remains the same, so less weight equals more speed. Okay, so that clarifies that. Yeah. No, because speed is king. No matter if you're a fighter or a speedster, speed is king. So there's a lot to say that being lighter and slimmer would make you much more effective at flying. Yeah, they're heavier weight. He's talking about the difference between speed and momentum. Ever heard of Newton's first law? Basically, it's difficult to change a heavy object's trajectory. When a light object tries to stop an approaching heavy object head on, it gets pushed off to the side, right? I ain't saying a freaking word.
りして警告しなくていいよ。
Oh, it's Madoka.
それでこんなこと言うのは恥ずかしいというかよこしまなことを考えてとか思われるかもしれませんけど。
Miss Shiro, that might be the longest ramble I've ever heard. Spit it out.
お？エッチな質問？わーいみんな！これからましろがエッチな質問をします。
Misaki, I don't always see eye to eye with you, but I can appreciate you here. This is funny.
ワクワクだね。
Madoka, you too?
はい、ワクワクです。
Oh, no, you're too pure for this.
変な期待をしないでいいです。そういうのじゃなくてですね。体をぶつけ合ったりすることもあるんですよね。
She's talking about like actually colliding though. Don't the fields prevent that? Are you worried about pain? If you are, then relax. The anti-grav layer absorbs shock and there's no real damage of bumping into random things since you're way up in the air. FC may look dangerous and painful, but it's extremely safe.
そうだよ。クッションにくるまれてるみたいなものだからさ。
See, that sounds lovely.
いえ、私が気になるのはそういうことではなくて、接触した時に胸が当たったり触られたりしたら嫌だなということで。
I kind of get that.
お尻とかもです。
Sorry, my apologies. I do get that. I imagine it's not very likely to happen, considering all the effects and everything we've seen. But I can see it being a concern, especially if it's in a mixed competition and if you're really shy.
あ、確かにそうかもしれません。でもテレビで見た強豪柔道部の女子部員は男子に混じって練習してましたから意外と気にならないのかも。
Oh, right. For some reason, I heard judo, and I was thinking like the swords stuff, which that's not judo. Judo is like martial arts wrestling, basically. Relax.
心配しなくていいということは精神修行で克服せよと。神と滅却すれば胸を触られても平気だと、そういうことですか？
You're part rabbit, considering how many leaps you're making in logic here. Guess that would work, but no, that's not what I meant. For example, if I tried touching your breast during a match...
キャー！真っ白の胸に！
I mean, to be fair, he absolutely walked into that one.
マサヤさんってエッチな人なんですか？
Aren't we all in some way or another? Are you guys even listening to me? I said for example!
例えば真っ白の胸に手が伸びてその柔らかさに恍惚となるマサヤなのであった。
とんでもないこと言わないでください。私の胸に触っていいのは美咲先輩だけなんですから。
There you go. It was all against me, and now you've turned it back to you. That is ridiculous, but not in the way you mean. Listen, I could never actually touch your breast during a match.
不可能とはどういうことですか？
Don't sound disappointed.
真っ白ちゃんの胸には触りたくないってことですか？
Oh my gosh, stop it!
あー、それは傷ついちゃうよね。触りたいって言われても嫌だけど触りたくないって言われるのも嫌だよね。
Basically, we just have to pretend they don't exist. Is that the solution you want?
とりあえず謝ってください。
Alright, so you want me to say, I apologize, I don't want to touch your breasts. That just sounds weird. Oh, come on! Can't you guys tell me finish? Remember what I said earlier. Anti-grav fields repel each other. Even if I tried to touch them, a layer would form between my hands and your breasts. I like how Madoka is absolutely just enjoying the ride.
でも強く押したりしたらどうなんですか？
Wouldn't change anything. Getting past the layer is impossible. I couldn't touch you even if I wanted to. Get it now?
触りたくても触れないですか。なんだか悲しいお話みたいですね。
But then why can I strike the back? Is it not actually striking the back, but just hitting the field at their back?
でもマサヤさんと初めて会った時一緒に空を飛びましたよね。
Back then you didn't activate your grav shoes, so we were both flying thanks to mine.
なるほど。つまりクラッシュを履いて起動させた状態でハグしたりとかそういうのはできないってことですね。
First off, my comment to say this is clearly necessary information to have, but then I thought for a second whilst preparing to say that line and realized that flying shoes adding to an element of romance have very interesting potential and implications. Let's just move on from that. Exactly.
もしかしてそういうことしてみたかったとか？
You need to chill.
そんなこと考えてません。
Ouch.
そんな慌てて否定しなくてもいいのに。でも空中でキスとかできたらロマンチックだよね。
Badoka, please stop channeling my inner thoughts into the game. It's becoming uncomfortable.
ですかね。
Who wouldn't? Unless you're terrified of heights.
あれ？アスカ赤くなってる？
Oh, yeah, there we go.
なってません。
Guess this is as good a time as any to explain more about Grav shoes. I mean, we are going shopping for them tomorrow.
よろしくお願いします。
Please change the subject. Okay, here's the fun fact about anti-grav devices used in Grav shoes. You can make it smaller, but not bigger. Oh, well, you can make it bigger, but that's pointless.
無意味ですか？
The output would remain the same, even if you made it bigger. I don't know the exact science, but apparently there's no getting around it. So they have a limited max capacity. So that could explain why we don't have, like, flying islands or flying aircraft carriers. It sounds like they have a limit. Oh, again, but what would be stopping you from doing, like, large amounts of small graviton shoes or the engines that make graviton shoes? Could that buoy up something big?
だから空飛ぶ自動車とかないだろ。反重力装置は小型化に成功し続け、大型化に失敗し続けた歴史なんだぜ。
I'm an idiot. I just realized why you don't pull them together to make a big floating, like, tent or ship or whatever. They repel each other. If you want the fields to get close enough where they could actually help each other, they'd be repelling each other. Yeah, no, that would be tough.
そういえば人と部位以外のものが浮かんでるのって見たことないです。
Right. You might think 2 pairs of Grav shoes are enough to move heavy things around, but it's not possible because they repel each other. And that doesn't change even if you activate them at the same time.
では重いものとかは運べないわけですね。
Bingo. Gravity shoes have a weight limit of 300 kilograms, but something that heavy would barely float. Okay, 300 kilograms. How many of that is, in freedom units? Because I don't know the conversion off the top of my head. Kilo, pounds. Alright, so 1 kilo is 2 pounds. So I'll do the proper conversion, but that's essentially 300 kilograms is 661 pounds. Okay.
ということは女の子6人くらいなら手をつないで飛べそうですね。
You're assuming all girls weighing 100 pounds in that scenario. You're making someone squirm with those numbers, Asuka. She's like, it wouldn't be me.
そんなことない。私はスレンダーボディなんだから。
Misaki, you and I have the same problem. It legitimately, it sounds weird, but it's true. I am heavier than I look. It's like, sometimes people just are more compact, and I don't know why. And also some people are just naturally heavier. It has nothing to do with, being, overweight or unhealthy. It just comes down to just the way your body is. Some people are just heavier. You could have 2 people standing side by side who look exactly the same size, but one will be 20 pounds heavier because they just pack in things better in their bodies, or they have, I don't know, bigger skeletal structures or something. I don't know. Well, it's not like forming a chain of 6 girls is feasible. At those numbers, you'd be next to impossible to balance yourself. I'd say 4 people is about the best you could do.
なるほど。家や学校が浮いてる光景を見たことないのはそういうことだったんですね。
And kind of saying, that was a question of mine as well. And with that, it's time to call it a day.
明日靴を買いに行くのが楽しみです。
Asuka forms a radiant smile.
クラシナ、これから部活か？
Hello, teacher. Alright, I think we will end things here. I was thinking we'd go a little further because I thought he'd have going to his house and thinking about the things of the day, but it looks like it's ending here. So we'll go ahead and end here for now. Again, it's not the best because I know sometimes people are like, come on, make them longer, but I only have so much time, and it's such an easy spot to end it. It feels appropriate. So yeah, first day of training, all done. I liked it. It's kind of nice that we had like the really emotional like hemming and hawing for our main character to decide if he's going to coach. And then our second episode was basically him coaching and getting the potential like hideout / club room set up, which is pretty good. So then today we're going to be able to do another training session. That'll be fun to do next week. So thank you so much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed making it, because my goodness, I do. I appreciate all of you for being here and for supporting me, especially on these more wild and crazy adventures. And I'm also just really happy to be a part of all of this. So thank you for all your support and your, your care and your love, and all of that just means the world to me. Especially for those of you who are patrons and members or ever have been. Thank you. It means the world to me. And that's another thing too, like, I don't care if you've ever been a patron for like a month or whatever, like you're always going to be in the list. Like, just make sure I know that like you've been a member, which for Patreon, it alerts me. But if it's on the channel membership, it sometimes doesn't. So make sure you let me know if for some reason you've signed up and your name's not in the end credits here. But regardless of that, thank you so much for being here today. It means the world to me. I'm looking forward to making more content with you all in the future. So until the next video, watching me up, see me in next. I'll see you there.